This is Ryan Hoyme, aka Massage Nerd, and I have Kate from COMTA. Hi, welcome, Kate.
Thank you, Ryan.
So, what is COMTA then?
COMTA, which stands for the Commission on Massage Therapy Accreditation, is a specialized accrediting agency. Accreditation is a voluntary process for schools to go through. After they are state approved, they can choose to go through accreditation, which is intended to be a way for them to evaluate themselves against a common set of standards. In the accreditation process, schools write a report about themselves, and then the accrediting agency has a team of volunteers that read the report about the school, and then they go visit the school to see if the report that the school wrote about themselves is accurately reflecting what's really happening at the school.
Okay.
So the Commission on Massage Therapy Accreditation is specialized in massage accreditation.
So it just deals in just massage then, right?
Right.
Okay.
So the other thing, other than dealing in just massage, is that we have specific requirements for massage.
Okay.
We have curriculum competencies, which means that we have described what we believe, and we being the people over time involved in the process, what we believe are the minimum things that should be taught in an entry-level program. And then we also require that the school assesses how the students are learning and making sure that they actually are learning those things. So that's the big thing that makes COMTA different than other accrediting agencies, is that we have those curriculum requirements. Other agencies may send a subject matter expert to the school to evaluate.
I've had to do that for quite a few schools and stuff like that, and it's amazing how much you can learn from those kind of things too and stuff like that. But with yours, it's just one notch up, where it's just about massage. So it's massage experts going in with massage schools and stuff. So
and there's something that they can use as a baseline to say whether or not the school is teaching the commonly expected things. Other accrediting agencies do a good job of evaluating administrative aspects of the schools, but if they found something that was lacking in the curriculum, they might not be able to say specifically what it was, because there isn't a specific list of criteria for it.
And about how many schools do you accredit then?
COMTA has about 85 currently accredited schools and programs. We would really love to see more schools go through the process.
And is that 85 and then other offsets and stuff like that too? Other schools besides that, or is it just 85 campuses?
That includes the multiple locations.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where do you see COMTA going from here then?
We would really love to see all massage schools and programs go through the COMTA process. And we're working really hard to make sure that from our side, the process becomes more streamlined, efficient, and worthwhile, so that it's really worth it for schools to go through the process.
And is it mostly for-profit or non-profits that schools that you deal with? Or?
Great question. We have a huge variety of schools. We have any type of massage school or program that's out there is eligible for COMTA accreditation if they meet the criteria. And there are myths over time about how hard it is to meet the COMTA criteria, or that you have to have everything perfect before you go through the accreditation process. Those are just myths. What the Commission really wants to see is that there are a certain few key things in place, and that the school or program has a commitment to meeting all of the other criteria within a certain time frame.
And so do you, let's say they scored really good, you don't have to come back for a few more years then, or is there a certain time period and stuff?
Excellent question. We have a set 5-year period of accreditation. So once you go through the initial application process, and the Commission can establish that you've met the criteria, the accreditation period is 5 years. And then at the end of that 5 years, you go through the re-accreditation process or renewal process. And it's the same thing with writing a report and then a group of volunteers coming to visit the school.
And why would somebody want to be accredited then?
One of the questions that we ask ourselves, but then we also have schools asking us. The biggest response that we get, the most common response we get from schools that have gone through our process, is that it has improved their school. Some schools are really strong in their curriculum, but their administrative aspects are less strong. and the process really helps them beef up the administrative aspects of their school. Other schools are really strong in administration, and the process helps them strengthen their curriculum. The other reason that a lot of schools end up actually being willing to go through the process is because accreditation can be a gateway to having the school participating in federal financial aid.
Okay.
So one of the things
that's a big thing, because I used to work for a school too that they're accredited and they had the financial aid, so that helped them out a lot. And
right.
So.
Right.
But I myself, back in the 90s, I went to a school that didn't have financial aid, so I had to pay out of my own pocket for all those things, and so. Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I had graduated from college and I had student loans and I knew all about what that was like. But then when I went to massage school and I asked, okay, where do I sign for my loans?
Yep.
And they said, well, we're not accredited yet, so we don't have loans available. We really encourage you to pay as you go. And it was something I didn't expect, but it's a common experience, I would say, for students out there attending massage schools that there may not be loans available for them, especially at non-accredited schools.
Yep, exactly. And what other kind of frequency asked questions that you get a lot then on a regular basis?
We have students, prospective students, calling us to ask advice about how to choose a school. Number one criteria that I give them is first, think about where you want to be licensed and find out what the requirements are for licensure in your area.
Okay.
And once you figure that out, then start looking for schools that are accredited in your area and go experience the school. Take a tour, sit in class, talk to the other students, get a feel for it, because it's a very visceral thing to choose a school.
Yep.
So when I've already started with, get a feel for what you're looking for, then we talk about whether or not the school is COMTA accredited. And if there's a COMTA accredited school in their area that we can recommend, we do.
Yep. And the main thing is you guys aren't there just to be like police of everything. I mean, if somebody has questions too, let's say they are accredited by you, you'll help them out with those kind of questions too and stuff? Or
Absolutely.
Okay.
There are some schools that have recently gone through our process that we are so happy when they call us for things that aren't problems. They just have questions.
Yep.
Because we really enjoy being used as a resource and not just as the people who you have to send a report to.
Yeah, because the school I used to work for too and stuff, they were just so scared in a way to actually call them. So what they did was they just tried to fix everything beforehand and not even get through their view and stuff. So it's like,
yeah. We have a very positive relationship with a lot of our schools. We try to be a source of information and be a source of encouragement for improving themselves and making things easier on themselves to comply.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that I found being on the staff side at COMTA. I used to work at a school that went through the accreditation process, and I had this idea that if I made it really complex, if I made my system really complex and difficult, then it would meet the criteria. What I know now is that there are really simple ways to meet accreditation criteria. The language can be kind of daunting for accreditation, but at the heart of it, it can be a very simple process. And there are lots of things that our schools are already doing that would meet the criteria. They just might need help interpreting the standards, and we're there for helping them do that.
And do you have a minimum amount of hours a school has to have in order to be accredited by you then too and stuff? Or
yes, thanks for bringing that up. The minimum number of hours to be COMTA accredited is 600. Okay. And that's based on the minimum criteria for qualifying for federal Pell grants.
Okay.
There are questions in our profession right now about what number of hours is really the best.
It's changing all the time and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, COMTA has had the 600-hour requirement for many years, but it is something that we're paying attention to the conversations. We're paying attention to the conversations about what the core competencies for education should be. We already have competencies, but we're certainly listening to see if we should change ours, if they should be adjusted to reflect changes in the profession right now.
Are you concerned about how fast people finish a program too?
We don't have any limitations on how fast somebody finishes.
I know a lot of schools
program.
are making it a lot longer now, because back in the day, I remember it was really quick for some of them and stuff, but I don't see a lot of those around anymore. So,
yeah, we have some schools that have a short, intensive program. We have other schools that really expand the program to allow for more time for assimilation of the subject. We see successes in both areas. We don't have any criteria that would specifically limit schools for that type.
And during the whole recession, have you seen massage schools take a little bit of a hit then, would you say? Or?
Yeah, there were certainly several schools that took a hit during the recession. There were some schools that really had a boom because people who were out of work were going back to school.
Bought other schools too and stuff. So,
right. And generally we saw that the schools that would have financial aid to offer were having a much easier time getting through the recession. Some of them had a boom in enrollment because people were out of work and they were going back to school.
Yeah, definitely. So what's the easiest way for people to get a hold of you then?
Our website, COMTA.org, has our contact information on it, and you can call the office directly or
people
email
that
us.
can actually talk to a live person then, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
That's kind of scary.
And we're nice, friendly people on the other side of the phone.
Yeah, and all these conferences see you guys at, and you're always willing to answer questions all the time too. It's just amazing. So that's the way it should be, you know. It's like
that's what we think too.
Yeah, accreditation and education doesn't have to be scary, you know. It's like
exactly.
It's always a pleasure, Kate.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep, thanks. Thanks, everyone.